Hey guys. This is the part 5 for What If Naruto Was a Businessman and the Owner of a Company. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 7. Zabuza chuckled at Kakashi's notion while he gripped the hilt of his large sword. You see my death, huh? Bold words. Let's see you back them up, Zabuza said, and Kakashi glared at the Kiri missing Nin before he felt his chakra surge. Zabuza flashed through his hand signs and everyone noticed a mist enter the field. Kirigaku no Jutsu, hiding in the mist technique, Zabuza said as the mist settled over the field and effectively masked his presence. Kakashi cursed before he shouted to his team. Form a defensive perimeter around Tazuna, he shouted. Sasuke and Sakura surrounded Tazuna, but they noticed that Naruto was standing perfectly still. Naruto, what are you doing? Sakura asked, and Naruto glared in front of him. A regular defense won't never work like that, Haruno-san. This technique is only the preparation for a worse technique. Kiri is known for their swordsmen, just as well as Kumo. However, in Kiri, they have a technique. The silent killing. They could kill you so fast that you would never even know it. Add that to who this is, then this defense is foolish, Naruto responded. Sakura and Sasuke widened their eyes at such words, and so did Tazuna. He gulped and Kakashi glared in front of him. How did Naruto know that? Exceptional genin or not, there were things that even the blonde shouldn't be able to know. How was it possible that he had all this information? Something like this should have terrified the blonde, or at the very least shaken him up. It did nothing. Naruto was still confident as always. So what do you propose we do, Naruto-kun? Sakura asked. Naruto narrowed his eyes before standing up. Simple. I know the silent killing's weakness, Naruto said. Sasuke and Sakura looked surprised while Rinko, Tuka and Fu shared a look. Kakashi glanced back to Naruto and wondered what the blonde would actually come up with. No, I can't let Naruto act like a proud idiot right now. I'll have to locate Zabuza fast, Kakashi thought to himself as he laid up a hand sign and quickly dispersed his chakra as far as he could to find Zabuza in the thick mist. The ki in the air rained heavy over everyone. Sakura and Sasuke seemed to be handling it worst, while the Uchiha coughed. I can't take this. This level of Jonin power. I'm suffocating. If it keeps up, then I think I'll just, Sasuke thought as he held up a kunai. He was ready to do anything, but then Tuka slapped the kunai away, getting Sasuke to look down at her in surprise and anger. To kill yourself in the heat of a battle is foolish, Uchiha. Your parents would be ashamed of you. Also, Itachi wouldn't act in such a way. It is disgraceful to the once proud Uchiha clan, Naruto proclaimed. Sakura and Kakashi looked over to Naruto in surprise while Sasuke snarled. He glared heatedly at Naruto and being compared to his brother. If this wasn't a battle, Sasuke would have wrung Naruto's little neck dry for such a comment. No matter how right he was. However, it surprised Sasuke that Sakura didn't come to his defense. She just looked forward with Rinko at her side. That's right, Naruto. We're a team. We don't allow our comrades to die. Right? Kakashi asked while Naruto simply nodded with a stern look. Of course it was right. Naruto also knew what he was doing as well as what Kakashi was doing. Don't be so full of yourself, Gaki. You have no idea of how the world works. One's life can end just like this, Zabuza said as he instantly appeared behind Sasuke and Sakura. Both gasped, and so did Kakashi. The kids growled as they turned around, but none of them could react as Zabuza chuckled and brought his sword over to Zuna's head. The bridge builder gasped as Zabuza cackled and brought his sword down. Tazuna closed his eyes tight as he waited to be met with Kaiza. He waited for the hurt. He waited, and waited, and waited some more. Tazuna opened his eyes and he was shocked to see Zabuza's sword just inches from slicing him in half. He noticed Zabuza growl as the demon of Kiri turned his head to see Naruto holding his hand out. He could see small white strips of light that could be identified as the wires Naruto wore with his gloves. The wires held the massive sword in place, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Your sword is stronger than I had originally anticipated. I expected it to be sliced into pieces, but it seems it was foolish of me to underestimate the quality of Kiri's deadly swords. Their creators are well worth their reputation, Naruto said while Zabuza glared. He growled as he tried to forcefully pull his sword down, but he was surprised as he heard his sword scraping against the wires. What kind of metal is this? Why can't my sword break it? Zabuza growled out while Naruto narrowed his eyes. He flipped his head to his sensei and casted a glare at him. Whenever you'd like to stop looking like a foolish person and help, then that would be greatly appreciated, Naruto said, and Kakashi snapped out of his stupor. He quickly nodded and the Jonin zipped towards Zabuza while Sakura grabbed Tazuna and pulled him out of the way. Tazuna breathed a sigh of relief as he felt his life flash before his eyes. Wasn't a very good one. Zabuza snarled before he quickly dropped his sword from his hands and flipped over Kakashi's kunai. The Konoha Jonin growled while Zabuza slid across the ground. Using his wires, Naruto managed to flip the heavy blade and swung it at Zabuza's body. However, he didn't get what he wanted as Zabuza ducked under it, and in one motion, grabbed the sword by its hilt and managing to get it free from Naruto's wires. The blonde sighed, but he noticed Zabuza behind him. "Die, boy," he said as he sliced Naruto in half. "Naruto!" Sakura shouted while Tazuna gasped. Kakashi narrowed his eye and Sasuke snarled. Zabuza chuckled, but it didn't last long before he shouted as lightning came from Naruto's body, trailed along his sword, and slammed against Zabuza's body, getting a grimace from him as he backed away while Naruto dispelled. "Right, Unbunshin? That shouldn't be possible for this brat," Zabuza said, and he swung his sword, but it was blocked by Kakashi. The two glared at each other as the sparks flew off their individual weapons. "You're slipping in your abilities if you're unsettled by one of my genin, Zabuza," Kakashi said in a mocking tone that Zabuza really didn't like. Both jumped away from each other as they landed at opposite ends of the ground. "Don't get ahead of yourself, Kakashi. I'm just getting warmed up," Zabuza said, and Kakashi snorted while his Sharingan worked overtime to watch Zabuza's movements. He quickly glanced to the right as he saw Zabuza try to kick him. Kakashi blocked the attack and he noticed Zabuza swing his sword against his body. Kakashi gasped as he was sliced in half. Zabuza grinned, but just like Naruto, he noticed the Jonin dissolve in water. He growled before he blocked a shot from Kakashi. The two shinobi clashed against each other while Zabuza snorted. "You're all dead," he said while Kakashi narrowed his eyes at his opponent. Meanwhile, Naruto dusted his clothes off as his kits jumped on him happily. They each snuggled against him while Naruto smiled. "It's fine. I had it planned. Don't forget that this is a mission," Naruto told them. They each nodded and jumped down, allowing for Naruto to get to his feet. "Naruto, are you okay?" Sakura asked, getting Naruto to slightly nod. He looked over to see Kakashi and Zabuza still fighting away while he folded his arms. "It seems that he's not going to just back away, but I suspected this. Haruno-san will have to come up with a plan along with Uchiha," Naruto said, and Sakura agreed, though in Naruto's eyes it was hesitant. "You are unsettled," Naruto said, and Sakura held her head down. "Naruto, it's a Jonin. Maybe we should let Kakashi-sensei handle this one," Sakura said, and Naruto shook his head. "And if Hatake gets captured, then what?" Naruto asked, causing Sakura to go silent. She knew that Naruto planned for nearly all contingencies on his missions. She being trained by him in chakra control, then she knew how serious he was for planning ahead and being able to plan on the fly. It was a requirement in this business. "I'm not sure," Sakura said while Naruto opened his jacket. Sakura gasped at the large number of seal arrays around it while Naruto took out a short sword. Quote from Wisdom of the Wise Noble, "A king can easily be toppled by his people. He is but one man in the face of many. The strength of a team is necessary," Naruto said while Sakura gasped. The blonde then pulled her close, getting a slight blush while he whispered in Sakura's ear. "What are you two talk about?" Sasuke growled out. He walked over to them, and while he loathed to work with them again, he felt that maybe he had no choice to. He growled at such a thing, but he could admit help when it would be beneficial to his goals. "As Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun has a plan. He was just telling me about it if Kakashi-sensei was ever captured," Sakura said while Sasuke scoffed. "Please, the guy is a Jonin. There is no way he would." Suiro no Jutsu, water prison technique, Zabuza said as everyone gasped when they saw Kakashi trapped inside a large bubble of water. Sakura gulped while Sasuke and Naruto narrowed their eyes. Zabuza snickered while Kakashi cursed. Damn it, this water is thick. I can't move, Kakashi thought while Zabuza smirked. Well, little brats. It looks like your time has run out. Now with your sensei captured, I'll be killing that damn bridge builder now, Zabuza said, and Tazuna gulped while Naruto stood at the center. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. This man is needed for my plans. You will not do otherwise, Naruto said with a glare that just annoyed Zabuza for some reason. Who did this Genin think he was talking down to? Stop this at once. This fight was over the second I got caught. Just take the bridge builder and run, Kakashi ordered. Zabuza smirked and held up a hand sign. Instantly everyone watched as a water clone appeared in front of them. It folded its arms with a smug grin across its face. Then let's even these odds even more, Zabuza's clone said. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto narrowed their eyes before Naruto turned around. Rinko, Tuka, Fu guard the bridge builder. He is essential. Understood? Naruto asked. Rinko nodded before she ordered Tuka and Fu to their places. Tazuna looked down, and he noticed the foxes at his feet. How are those mutts supposed to protect him? Sasuke asked. Naruto snorted before he turned his head towards the Uchiha. It is not your concern. Just keep your eyes on your target, Naruto commanded. Sasuke growled at being ordered around by the class loser while Sakura just decided to trust him at his word. You really are underestimating me, brat. Do you take this for a game? You have no idea what it takes to become a shinobi. In Kiri you are taught to be ruthless. You train day in and day out as you form bonds with friends. It's a living hell. On the day of your exam all rules are off. For you to be a shinobi you are required to kill your friends like it meant nothing to you. The people who strived with you, slept with you, ate with you, end their lives as they are unfit to live. There was one particular boy, he wasn't even a student yet. He had killed over 100 of his classmates in a bloodbath and the practice was discontinued. Then that boy, the one who killed his classmates, was given the moniker Demon of the Mist. Wanna know who that boy was? Zabuza's clone asked. Sakura gulped while Sasuke seemed surprised. However, Naruto was unimpressed. He had read up on that during his travels. Is that all you've done? Naruto asked, and Zabuza's clone narrowed his eyes. Kakashi raised an eyebrow while Naruto walked forward. Have you ever felt a very small comfort of home slip away from you? Have you ever wondered when you closed your eyes that you wouldn't wake up in a cage because you apparently overslept? Have you seen the life drain away from your foster parents as they looked at you with nothing but contempt? Have you seen their teenage kids die right in front of you as you didn't care what they had done? Have you heard children groan for their parents while they were forced away by debt collectors to Kami knows where? Foolish man, the world is not so generous as it has been to you, Naruto said, getting a gasp from Sakura and a narrowed glare from Sasuke. Kakashi seemed to be thinking really hard about everything that he had heard, but kept quiet about it. He wondered about the blonde's history with his foster parents. It had been a part of the fateful day. The day that Shinobi and Konoha were never going to forget. Sakura seemed to be wondering the same thing as did Sasuke, but he knew what that was like. To see those close to you die right in front of your eyes. Sasuke knew that all too well. By this time Naruto stood right before Zabuza's clone as the two glanced at each other. Both seemed to be feeling the other out. Kakashi cursed at his inability to do anything at the moment as he could only watch his team go through this. But he couldn't believe the audacity that Naruto had in his head. Not even his father or mother was insane when it came to fighting opponents. The original Zabuza smirked as he watched his clone and Naruto stare off. Both Naruto and Zabuza blinked, and the clone grabbed its sword. So what are you going to do, punk? Zabuza asked while Naruto closed his eyes. He slowly raised his hand and allowed it to rest on his shoulder. I will take you out, Naruto said. The clone chuckled at such a notion. Is that right? Then let's see you try it. Zabuza shouted as he swung his sword at Naruto. Sakura and Sasuke narrowed their eyes as Zabuza's sword came down over the blonde's head. Naruto opened one of his palms and suddenly Zabuza was trapped in wires. He gasped while Naruto turned to Sakura and Sakura. Do it, he ordered. Sakura gulped, but nodded while Sasuke seemed much less hesitant. Sakura threw an explosive tag while Sasuke shouted. Katan, Gokaku no Jutsu. Suddenly a large fireball covered Sakura's kunai, making it exploded while it raced for Naruto and the Zabuza clone. You damn brat. You're going to kill us both. Zabuza shouted while Naruto smiled. A shinobi's life vanishes in an instant. You either learn to survive or you are ashes in the rubble. Say goodbye. Ki, Naruto hollered and Zabuza gasped as the fire covered them both as Naruto dispelled in wind. The clone blasted off in a large explosion, while Kakashi and the real Zabuza could only watch. Damn brats, Zabuza said, and it was only then did he notice Sakura jump into the sky. She quickly clicked a button unleashing Naruto's special shuriken. She swung it forward with a large yell while Zabuza chuckled. Impressive, but not enough brats, Zabuza said as he caught the shuriken. He then looked in the distance to see Naruto and Sasuke. Uchiha, go! Naruto ordered. Sasuke growled, but he understood it as he ran at Zabuza. The former Kiryu shinobi narrowed his eyes. Just because one of his hands was immobilized didn't mean that he wouldn't be able to do anything. So Zabuza held up another hand sign unleashing another water clone. Sasuke launched a kick towards the clone, but it was blocked as the clone slammed Sasuke overhead, with its foot sending him crashing into the ground. Sasuke coughed, but Sakura was right behind him. She was still more than a little anxious, but she wouldn't let Naruto down. Sakura came twirling down as she tried to slam one of her legs to the clone's head only for it to be blocked. Zabuza chuckled at the sight while Kakashi just tried to watch in awe. Sasuke quickly rebounded and swirled his feet as he tried to swipe at Zabuza's feet only for the act to fail as both he and Sakura were kicked away as they skidded across the ground next to Naruto. Sorry Naruto-kun, we couldn't hit him, Sakura said while Sasuke grumbled. Naruto turned a glance to her and nodded. This is fine, Haruno-san. You have proven efficient. Tazuna is as safe as can be and you have done what I have required of you and Uchiha. Very good, Naruto said walking forward. Sakura just nodded with a small tint of a blush. She didn't realize it or she wasn't sure when she had thought about it, but Naruto was so cool. Sasuke just snorted as he wondered what the class loser was about to do. The Zabuza clone grinned at Naruto while the blonde looked to see the real one holding his shuriken. All was in place. So what are you going to do, brat? Zabuza asked, and Naruto closed his eyes. He held up his left hand, snapped his fingers. Instantly a blazing line of fire went from Naruto's hands, trailed through the air and wrapped around the Zabuza clone. What the hell? The clone said out loud, but it barely had the time to think as Naruto crossed his hands, letting the wires come together, and sliced the clone back into water, but they didn't stop as the fire continued to blaze towards the real Zabuza. He gasped as he turned to see the shuriken that Naruto had thrown connected to the wires as the fires raced for it. Zabuza quickly threw the shuriken away and Naruto gave a sly smile. With his left arm he pulled at the shuriken, getting to turn straight away while it floated and sliced through the waters in front of them. It raced for Zabuza's held arm as the demon of Kiri cursed. He quickly let go of the bubble as he dodged the shuriken, allowing Naruto to grin as he sent it flying into the sky. Damn you brats! Zabuza said as he grabbed his sword and charged for the genin of Team 7. Sasuke and Sakura gasped while Naruto narrowed his eyes. Zabuza sent his sword down, but it was quickly clashed by Naruto's shuriken being held by Kakashi. His form was as wet as it could be, but that didn't stop the glare that he gave him. Thanks for the save, Naruto, Kakashi said, all the while not taking his eyes off Zabuza's form. Meanwhile Naruto just snorted as he went back to Tazuna and stand a simple guard with his kits who had been watching the fight with interest. You shouldn't have gotten caught in the first place, Hataki. You relied too much on your Sharingan. You shouldn't need us to bring you out of your messes. You can thank me by dealing with this as soon as possible, Naruto said while Sasuke and Sakura nodded in agreement. Kakashi could take him up on that as the two jonin clashed with each other. Told you not to underestimate my genin, Kakashi said while Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Is this guy serious? There is no way that Brad is a genin, Zabuza thought as their chakra began to spread into the waters, forcing them to part as the two dueled it out. Both jumped away from each other while Zabuza grinned. He quickly formed a hand sign while Kakashi did the same. Instantly the two Jonin were doing the exact same hand signs at the same time, which really surprised Zabuza a good deal. How is he able to mimic my movements so precisely? Zabuza wondered while Kakashi smirked. My Sharingan allows me to copy your movements, and your chakra flow perfectly. Face it, Zabuza, you've met your match, Kakashi said, and Zabuza gasped while Kakashi smirked. He was more than ready to unleash his jutsu, but then two Saban needles slammed into Zabuza's neck as he turned to the source. He saw Naruto with his hand sticking out as he fell to the ground limp. Kakashi stared in surprise, as did everyone else. Even Naruto's kids were confused by the action. Kakashi stopped his hand signs while he placed a hand to Zabuza's throat. He's dead. Naruto, you killed him, Kakashi said while Naruto closed his eyes. No, I did not. My Saban were meant to kill him, but it seems that someone has other plans, Naruto said, and instantly they all noticed someone in the trees. They wore a white hunter-nin mask as well as a dark green hakama. They looked down at the group and narrowed their eyes at Naruto, who was looking at the hunter-nin with a usual cold glare. That was too close. If I had been an inch of in deflecting his Saban, then he really would have killed him. This boy, the person thought before jumping to the ground. I would like to thank you for your efforts. Kiri has been tracking Zabuza for quite a while. You have done us a great service in taking him down, the person said while Naruto narrowed his eyes. So this is Haku, huh? She's exactly like Gozu and Meizu said she was. Impressive, Naruto thought while Kakashi smiled. Well, we're happy to get rid of him. Gotta thank Naruto for doing most of the work, Kakashi said, but the blonde made no move to speak. I see, well, I will take my leave now. I bid you a good day, the hunter-nin said before they flashed away quickly. Kakashi smiled, but behind that smile was a feeling of angst. However, he would have to put it off. Alright then, you guys, let's get ready to. Kakashi suddenly leaned over, but he didn't fall to the ground as he expected and only found himself leaning against Naruto's back. He opened his eyes while Naruto glared in front of him. You foolishly overdid it. You're lucky that you didn't pass out, but it's obvious that you're injured. Next time be more careful, Naruto said, and Kakashi just gave an eye smile and a nod while Naruto shook his head. Tazuna, is your house far from here? Naruto asked. Tazuna, obviously shaken by the events, suddenly turned to Naruto as he registered the blonde's question. No, we're not far off. Just about half an hour, he responded, and Naruto nodded. Very well. Haruno-san assumed the front and watched for other signs. Uchiha will stay in the back to watch the rear. Rinko, Tuka, and Fu are to the sides, Naruto ordered instantly. Sakura firmly nodded and quickly walked up to the front while Rinko, Tuka and Fu stood to Naruto's sides. Why the hell should I take orders from you? We dealt with Zabuza easily. I don't need to be bossed around by you, Sasuke said, and Sakura frowned, as did Tazuna. Naruto shook his head before looking forward. Don't question me, Uchiha. I gave you an order, now do it, Naruto said as he and the rest of the group walked off. However, Sasuke had other plans. He quickly walked up to Naruto and grabbed his collar. Sakura and Tazuna gasped while Rinko, Tuka and Fu growled bitterly. One time! You told us to work together one time and I agreed with it. I'm the best, I'm an Uchiha, and I succeeded at the academy. You, who had the worst grades in that school, have no fucking right to order me to do anything. You got that, you failure of a shinobi? Sasuke growled out. Sakura looked on sadly, but said nothing. She didn't know whose side to be on. She did still like Sasuke, very much so. However, Naruto had taught her so much in their training month. She had never felt more confident in her life. As Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun is just trying to get us. Haruno-san, stay out of this please, Naruto said, and Sakura gasped before she noticed Naruto stealing his gaze at the young man in front of him. Kakashi groaned at his genin and their behavior. How could they work together like professionals for one moment, and then be down each other's throat the next? However, he could make no move to stop them. His chakra was low and he couldn't feel his legs. Our Jonin-sensei is down, and he's received multiple fractures to his body. There is no internal bleeding, but wounds are fatal. Your pride does not concern me, Uchiha, nor does it benefit what I want. Welcome to the real world, Uchiha. Either grow up or remain a fool forever. I said, get in position. I will not jeopardize this mission for you. Thank you, Naruto said as he removed himself and issued everyone to walk in the direction that Tazuna told them to. Sasuke just snarled before he took up the post behind Tazuna and held the guard, but he wasn't going to like it at all. With Zabuza. The hunter Nin placed Zabuza on the ground before the person unfurled the bandages around his face. They then took up some scissors and plucked the Senbon out of Zabuza's neck. Just as they were about to whatever to him, Zabuza snapped open his eyes and grabbed their arm. God, that hurt. Did you really have to hit me that hard? Zabuza asked while the hunter Nin took off their mask, allowing for the face of a young girl to come through. She smiled, but Zabuza could see past the smile at the seriousness in her eyes. That young blonde is dangerous. While you were distracted by their Jonin-sensei, he flicked 2 Senbon hard enough to puncture your heart and your throat. I had to force my own Senbon to actually stop his while hitting you enough to knock you out. You nearly died, Zabuza-sama, she said while Zabuza rolled his eyes. I could have dodged it if I had to, Haku. I don't need you to baby me, Zabuza said while Haku smiled. I'm not babying you, Zabuza-sama, Haku said, and Zabuza could hear the condescending tone in her voice. He just snorted as he looked at the sky. Where would you place that brat's level? Zabuza asked, and Haku stopped her treatment. She shook her head and stayed silent, telling Zabuza that she wasn't sure how to explain it to him, which was just fine as it was. He wouldn't be moving enough to worry about it anytime soon. Nighttime. In that half an hour, the sun had gone down from its position, allowing for night to settle in when Team 7 entered into Wave. As they did, Naruto took a good long look at it. What he saw had made him quite angry. It was worse than what Gozu and Meizu had told him. All his work, his money, his treatments, gone to waste because one person couldn't stay in his place. People sleeping on the ground, passed out or drunk, depressed, or utterly defeated physically, mentally, and spiritually. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he continued to lug Kakashi through the streets. Sakura gasped over it while Sasuke seemed to think better. Rinko, Tuka and Fu whimpered as they walked near their father. They looked up and Naruto looked down to see their worried faces. He just gave a smile, while they tried to brighten up. It's bad, isn't it? Tazuna asked. Sakura nodded and Sasuke grunted. Kakashi could see the same thing and narrowed his visible eye. How could one man do all this to a once Exodus thriving country? Naruto just looked out and closed his eyes. You trust in my company and this happened. I was foolish to think that Gato would ever think to not mess with it. Forgive me, Wave, Naruto thought before turning around. Where is your house? He asked and Tazuna nodded. The group left the streets and went into the woods. Out in the woods, near a small lake, was a nice-sized house fit for a small family or so if it needed. Tazuna walked up to the door and quickly knocked over it. For a few minutes there was no answer as Tazuna knocked again. Finally there was a reply. Who is it? A feminine voice came out. Tazuna smiled at the familiar tone before clearing his throat. Tsunami, it's me. I'm back. Tazuna said, and the door opened fast as Team 7 saw a tall woman with lavender borderline navy blue hair. She wore a pink short-sleeved shirt and a navy blue housewife skirt. Sen, you're all right. Tsunami said, hugging the bridge builder while Tazuna just chuckled and rubbed the back of his head. And these are the guys who made sure I was safe. They're going to protect us while I build the bridge, Tazuna claimed. Tsunami turned to the young shinobi as well as the semi-unconscious older man with them. She suddenly straightened up and bowed. Thank you for taking care of my father. Won't you please come inside? She asked. Sakura bowed while Sasuke did the same. Everyone walked through the door and they noticed the nice setting of the house. It was really nice considering how Wave actually was. Inari, come down. Your grandfather is back. Tsunami called. Naruto laid Kakashi on the couch while the Jonin coughed. Naruto looked at him and shook his head. He sighed slightly while Sakura and Sasuke sat in some chairs. Rinko, Tuka and Fu collected themselves near their father while Naruto sat down as well and allowed them the opportunity to rest. Soon a young boy came down the stairs and quickly ran towards Tazuna. He hugged him earnestly while Tazuna stroked his head. "This is my grandson Inari. Say hello to the proud shinobi who got your grandfather here all right," Tazuna said, and Inari glared at a waving Sakura, a stoic Sasuke, and an unconcerned Naruto. Once Inari locked eyes with Naruto, he shivered. Naruto gave him a solid glare, and he felt like he was being buried in a thick blanket of ice. Inari allowed his hat to cover his eyes and snorted. "You're all just going to die," Inari suddenly told them. Sakura seemed confused while Sasuke snorted. Naruto narrowed his eyes even further before looking away at Kakashi's injuries while Inari ran up the stairs. "Inari, where are your manners? Apologize!" Tsunami shouted, but Inari was already gone. Tsunami and Tazuna sighed while the former turned around and bowed. "Please forgive him. Inari's a complicated young man. Things haven't been the same since Gato killed the Exodus workers and started his business here," Tsunami said, and no one noticed Naruto take a deep breath to calm himself. "Oh, that's fine. We saw the country. We're sorry for your loss," Sakura said, and Tsunami just nodded. However, there would be time for pleasantries later in Naruto's eyes. He stood up, drawing everyone's attention. "Tsunami-san, do you have any alcohol?" Naruto asked, and everyone blinked in surprise. "Naruto-kun, you drink?" Sakura asked while Naruto snorted. He folded his arms and shifted his stance a little. "Don't be foolish. This is for Hatake. Do you have any medicinal alcohol, gauzes, string, and some scissors?" Naruto asked, and Tsunami nodded. She walked off while Naruto turned to Tazuna. "Do you have any spare rooms?" he asked, and Tazuna guided him towards the free rooms. Naruto laid Kakashi to a bed as the Jonin's breath became rigid. Naruto sighed before he removed Kakashi's vest and Jonin attire, leaving him only in his long pants. Sakura blushed at the sight before looking away. Kakashi opened his one eye and glanced to Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto looked down and noticed a stray Senbon. He had underestimated the Hunter Nin's concern over Zabuza, and she even tried to take him out. Or at least with some mediocre medical skills. "I didn't know you knew medical ninjutsu," Kakashi said, and Naruto rolled his eyes. "There is a lot about me that you do not know. Now be silent, Hatake. You have fractured your leg along with chakra exhaustion. Honestly, you were more impressive when fighting Kagura," Naruto reprimanded. Kakashi coughed and smiled. "I have no excuses," Kakashi said while Naruto shook his head. Soon Tsunami came into the room and gave Naruto everything that he needed, which wasn't much, but it would have to do. "Good, now all of you, get out," Naruto said, and they stepped back. "You don't want any help, Naruto-kun?" Sakura asked. "I do not currently require aid, Haruno-san. You're all going to be distracting if you stay. Now leave. Also, Haruno-san, make sure to guard the door. Only open it if it is dire," Naruto said, and Sakura nodded as she walked out. Sasuke soon followed out, as did Tsunami and Tazuna. Naruto wiped Kakashi's wound before he took drenched Senbon in alcohol and stuck him. Kakashi winced, but couldn't move to stop him. Naruto then cleaned the wound while he unsealed some medicinal herbs. "You're not going to be walking without crutches for a good week or two, understood?" Naruto asked. Kakashi just nodded slightly. No use in arguing with the doctor's orders. Kakashi mentally chuckled at that thought. After cleaning the wound, Naruto sighed as he started to grind some herbs in a bowl. He made sure that a steady flow of bright red liquid flowed from the crushed herbs, and then he added some blue powder. The water bubbled for a little while before settling, and Naruto soaked a cloth in it. With his hands he made precise measurements of how much of the cloth to soak, and he held it over Kakashi's mouth. "Sleep," Naruto ordered, and Kakashi's chest fell and rose, signifying his sleep. Naruto worked for 2 hours to heal Kakashi's wound and make a cast for his leg. He grabbed the crutches that Tsunami had been kind enough to lend him. He placed them to the side and quickly patched up Kakashi's wound. "There you'll live," Naruto said as he opened the door. He noticed Sakura still standing, but she was nodding off. Sasuke had gone to bed, and so had the rest of the house. His kits were curled up into their usual balls, sleeping away, and Naruto picked them up. He touched Sakura, getting the girl to gasp and turn. "You may sleep, Haruno-san. I appreciate what you have done," Naruto said, and Sakura nodded. She felt happy to at least be of some use to Naruto, and took him on his offer. Both went to sleep in their individual rooms as the moon shined high in the sky. Naruto was here and he would correct a lot of things. You know Kuni. Kisa narrowed her eyes and a large grin came across her face. Ryuzetsu blinked as she wondered what the temporary head of Exodus was so happy about. Kisa just chuckled as she crunched the sides of her letter. Kisa-sama, what is wrong? Ryuzetsu asked, and Kisa just looked at her. She then stood to her feet and straightened her clothes. Ryuzetsu, tell the freight division of our workers that they are to stop their current dealings and they are to head to wave at the first hearing of Gato's death, Kisa said, and Ryuzetsu widened her visible eye while the other was hidden by her hair. Wait, we can't launch a war against them. It would be the end of us and Gato's shipping, Ryuzetsu said while Kisa shook her head. Not true, girlie. After all, foxes are sly, Kisa said, and Ryuzetsu gasped. She stared at Kisa and the green-haired woman nodded while she opened the door. Then Uzumaki-sama is… Ryuzetsu trailed off and Kisa nodded, affirming her statement. Right in the heart of it all. Man, I only wish I could see his face right about now. I didn't think that Gozu and Meizu would actually meet him under those conditions, but damn it if the brat wasn't a genius enough as it was. I only regret that I'm not going to get to see it happen, Kisa said while Ryuzetsu smiled with a firm nod. Well? What are you waiting for, and please, get going! Kisa shouted and Ryuzetsu quickly rushed out of the hallway while Kisa grinned. Skin him good, Naruto, Kisa said as she just felt like jumping around. Back in Konoha. Enko walked through the light-ridden streets filled with people as she began to think over Ibiki's words. Well, she had been thinking over them for the longest time. In fact, she had been thinking about them for so long that she had actually tortured a prisoner and nearly forgot about it. Not very professional of her, was it? However, none of this was Enko's focus at the moment. Since Kurenai and her squad were out on a mission, Yugao had her Umbu duties, and Hana had late-night veterinarian duties. So, Enko was alone. Everyone seemed to have something to do, and in truth so did she. She needed answers of her own. Trust is a two-way street. I have offered that to too many people as it is. You wouldn't understand. No, if there was anyone who didn't understand, it was Naruto. All the memories came rushing back to Enko as she sighed. This was why she never liked brats. They could never mind their business, and they always asked nagging questions. Why couldn't they leave well enough alone? However, as Enko walked, she looked up and noticed where she was. She was in front of the academy. She blinked at the building and wondered how she had gotten to the place, but something inside her made her reach out to the doorknob. She was surprised that the door was open and walked through it. Time to get some answers of my own, Enko said to herself as she went past the classrooms and towards the back rooms. She was surprised to see a stray light on and it piqued her interest. Enko looked through the door and noticed Irika grading some papers. Long night? Enko asked, causing Irika to jump and turn around. He noticed Enko leaning against the wall with a smile on her face. Hey Enko-san, what are you doing here? Irika asked, certainly surprised by this development. Enko looked over Irika's shoulder and noticed some grading of papers going on for some academy students. She shook her head at some of the failures, but knowing things about Naruto, then she didn't know what to think anymore. Those like him weren't a dime a dozen. He was more like one of those people who came across every 2 or 3 generations. Oh, nothing, I just wanted to reminisce for a little bit. You know, roam the old halls I used to use along with you, Kakashi and Guy, Enko said while Irika's sweat dropped. At 11:30 at night? Irika asked while Enko nervously chuckled and rubbed the back of her head. Sudden, why, she then gave a sigh and nodded. Fine, I guess I could care less about that shit. Irika, mind if I sit down? Enko asked seriously. For Irika, this was a first, as Enko was never truly serious. She was always just a goofy, go-lucky woman, slightly crazy and slightly nympho that he remembered. Or at least she just liked to tease people about their sexuality. Either way, he didn't mind. I'm sure. Mind if I grade while we talk? Irika asked, and Enko shook her head. She just watched him grade the papers and sighed. Irika, I want to talk with you about one of your students, Enko said, and Irika just nodded. So what per student met you? Iruka asked, and Anko's eyebrow twitched. She chuckled, slightly amused, slightly annoyed, and slightly pissed off. She was not that bad of a person to be around. She could be just as good at teaching as, say, Iruka, right? Gonna ignore that one, but anyway. I want to talk about Naruto. Anko noticed Iruka stiffen as he stopped grading his papers, his face wrought with guilt and shame. He suddenly seemed very anxious, and for reasons that Anko didn't even know. She then noticed Iruka slowly begin to write, but it was much more focused and stiff than the previous time. What do you want to know? Iruka asked, and Anko scratched her cheek. How was the gaki in the academy? Anko asked, and Iruka chuckled. I didn't expect you care about Naruto. Something I should know about? Iruka asked, and Anko snorted. It is not your concern, Anko said, getting wide eyes from Iruka. He gawked at Anko and saw that she didn't even recognize how she said that. However, he wouldn't let her know about it. So, like I was saying, what was he like in the academy? What were his grades? Anko asked. Iruka sighed and shook his head. You know about that day, right? Iruka asked, and Anko nodded. Yeah, I do. It was an incident of security, but what does it have to do with the brat? Anko asked, and Iruka nodded. It dealt directly with Naruto. During his early years at the academy, he was happy and free, preaching about becoming Hokage to his foster parents, but after that he became as he is now. Cold, indifferent, and untrusting. The teachers didn't help in that regard. We all absolutely hated him, and I'm not sure, but I think he knew it too, but never did anything about it. We were just happy that he kept getting horrible grades enough to be labeled the dead last. I'm ashamed to say that I thought that way too, but every time I taught the class I could feel his eyes on me, studying me, examining me, looking down on me like I was a low-life criminal. You could say that while others mocked him, mostly Sakura-san and Ino-san, he never cared. He just kept to himself, more so than even Uchiha Sasuke. He then started reading, and we were surprised at it. All of a sudden he could read, and with his grades we thought it was impossible. Here, let me show you something, Iruka said as he got up. Anko nodded and followed him out of the teacher's office. They quickly walked into a small archive room, and Iruka came to a cabinet. What is this? Anko asked as Iruka took out a key and opened the doors as Anko's eyebrow twitched. These are the hundreds of books that the teachers have confiscated from Naruto over his 4 or 5 years at the academy, Iruka said as Anko could see hundreds of books stacked on top of each other. She took one and noticed that it was ready nice. The Sea and the Whirling Tides, a Tragedy. Anko blinked and took another book. Literature, literature, and more literature. What was she looking at here? You teachers really have your fucking issues. How could you have this much hate for something that wasn't his fault? You make it like it's a damn crime to read a damn book, Anko said as she grabbed Iruka's vest. I know, and I am ashamed of myself. I've tried to make amends with Naruto-kun, but he's turned them all down. I don't even know where he lives to apologize, Iruka said, and Anko gasped. The hell, Iruka? You don't even know where he lives? Anko asked, and Iruka looked up. He shook his head while Anko smacked her forehead. Boy, are you academy guys just a load of shit. It's so obvious now why Hokage-sama didn't tell you. Who knows what you people would do with that knowledge? Iruka, the brat lives in the forest of death, Anko said, and Iruka gasped. What? Why would Hokage-sama allow the dead last of the academy into the… Iruka stopped while Anko growled. Kami, you're all idiots. Where are his grades? Anko asked, and Iruka shook his head. I can't tell you, Iruka said, and Anko snarled. And why the fuck not? Anko asked angrily. Because you need Hokage-sama's permission to access them. We never understood why, but it's a secret, he said, and Anko snarled again. Then I'll fucking get the permission, but you're going to show me those grades, Anko said as she marched out of the room and slammed the door shut. Iruka slid to the ground and breathed uneasily. Naruto, what have we done to you? Iruka wondered. Back in Wave, next morning? Kakashi groaned as he opened his eyes. He felt terrible. He stood up and groaned as he touched his side, which was where he noticed the repairs. Soon it all came back to him as he blinked. He looked at the ground as he traced his fingers along the gauzes held in place by some tightly woven strings. You should lay down. The paralysis is still there for another hour or so. He turned his head and he noticed Naruto laying next to him. Have you been there all night? Kakashi asked. Don't be foolish. Of course not. I have slept well enough. Enough about me, do you feel any pain? Naruto asked. Kakashi shook his head and chuckled. I owe you another one, he replied. Naruto glared at him before shrugging and closing his eyes. I don't need your debts. I just did what I had to, Naruto responded, getting a sigh from Kakashi. He just nodded and left it at that. Soon there was a knock on the door as Kakashi and Naruto saw Tsunami, Sakura and Sasuke come in. Oh my, you're awake now. I'm glad for that. I'll go get breakfast ready, Tsunami said, and Naruto turned to her. No greasy stuff if you please, Tsunami-san. Hatake needs vegetables and orange juice if you please, Naruto said, and Tsunami nodded as she left. Meanwhile, Kakashi groaned at being treated like a child. He was a jonin for Kami's sake. Sasuke and Sakura sat down across from Naruto and gathered around Kakashi. Sensei, it's good that you are alright. You gave us a scare when you collapsed. It was an amazement that you managed to stay conscious, Sakura said, and Kakashi smiled. I've got Naruto to thank for that, Kakashi said with an eye smile. We can save your thanks, Hatake. I've held off on it for long enough. It's time that you tell them about yesterday, Naruto said, and Kakashi agreed. He looked up at the ceiling and sighed. There is a chance that Zabuza is still alive, Kakashi said, getting Sakura and Sasuke to widen their eyes. Sakura turned to Naruto, and he didn't do anything except fold his arms. Sasuke glared and snarled, but before he could continue, Sakura interrupted him. But he was killed by that hunter Nin, right? How can he still be alive? Sakura asked, and Kakashi sighed. His throat was sore. He really didn't feel like explaining this. He really hoped Naruto's unknown knowledge of things would come in handy as he turned to the blonde. Naruto shared a look with him and gave an escape of breath. Hunter Nin are shinobi of their villages. They hunt members of their bingo book. It's a kill-on-sight order for everything in that book. They aren't to wait or take a body. They are to dismember the head and burn the body, leaving no chance for enemy Nin to examine it. This Nin is most likely an accomplice to Zabuza and what he does. Based on the points of insertion, then it can easily be determined that they knew to place Zabuza in suspended animation. A sort of false death. That means that this hunter Nin has medical knowledge like I do. If they are just as good, then Zabuza will only need a week and a half at the most to get better, Naruto said, stopping. Sakura slumped while Sasuke growled. It's as Naruto said. Zabuza's not going to underestimate you guys again. He'll be prepared next time. Also, it will be more than likely that this hunter Nin will be fighting. We'll have to continue your training. You have all done tree walking, right? Kakashi asked. They all nodded and Kakashi smiled. Good, then we will begin the next step, which is water walking, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Naruto glared at him while Sasuke snorted. I have mastered that already, he said, and Kakashi widened his eye. He turned to Sasuke, who had a smug grin on his face, then turned to Sakura. I mastered that too. Thanks to Naruto-kun, Sakura said, and Kakashi turned to Naruto. He glared at the blonde, but the blonde glared back. He just dared him to try and challenge him on something, and the blonde just would let him talk. He wouldn't give in to ignorant advances. I see. Well, alright then, I guess we can start by. Kakashi stopped while Sakura raised her hand. Kakashi-sensei, I would like to continue in training with my elemental affinity, Sakura said, and Kakashi raised an eyebrow again. You know your affinity? He asked, and Sakura smiled. She pointed back to Naruto while Kakashi sighed. Was he going to get to teach anything? He just gave a nod and leaned back. Alright then. I will start training with you individually. By the time you see Zabuza, you should have mastered at least one jutsu, Kakashi said, getting Sasuke to grin. Sakura just sighed while Naruto shrugged as Kakashi dismissed the meeting. An hour later, everyone was at the dinner table eating their breakfast except Naruto, who had a book in his hands. But it wasn't just any book. It was a kid's book. It was open and they all saw a very weird scene. Arya and Naruto pronounced. Sakura and Sasuke looked down to the ground as they saw Rinko, Tuka, and Fu looking at the words. Rinko opened her mouth and yipped. Naruto shook his head while Rinko whimpered. Pronounce Rinko. I told you that you are to start learning words. While we're here you'll need to do this. Once again Ryuen, Naruto pronounced. Rinko nodded while Tuka opened her mouth. You, Tuka tried and whimpered. Naruto smiled, but he continued on teaching the three as they were more than interested to learn how to do this. Is he hoping to get his foxes to talk? Is he an idiot? Sasuke asked. Kakashi just ate his food and snickered. Not necessarily. The Inuzuka use the same method when trying to teach their dogs to talk. Actually, the only one that can talk is a dog named Kuramaru. He is the lead dog to keep his mother, Inuzuka, Kakashi said, and Sasuke snorted. He really didn't care while Sakura just seemed intrigued for a second. Tsunami thought it was kind of cute and Tazuna just ignored it, but Inari, when he saw Naruto's smile, it irked him to almost no end. He growled before he quickly finished his food and walked off, getting a sigh from Tsunami and Tazuna. Run! Came a feminine voice. Sasuke and Sakura turned their heads while Kakashi gasped. Run! It said again. Naruto blinked as he looked down to see Tuka running circles around her father. Run, 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 run! Tuka said, and Naruto nodded. He chuckled as he kissed Tuka on top of her head. Very good. I'm surprised you got that, Naruto said, and Tuka yipped. Run! He turned his head to see Rinko hopping on the sofa. Run, 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 run! She said, and Naruto chuckled. He nodded again while Fu whimpered. He hadn't been able to get it right. Rinko and Tuka just kept saying the word run to each other as they ran around the room. Meanwhile, Naruto picked up Fu and placed him near his heart. One step at a time, Fu. You'll be just as loud and headache-causing as your sisters. Understand? Naruto asked, and Fu just curled into his father. Rinko and Tuka smiled with nods. At least in this language, it was the only word that they knew, so it was going to be a process. As for all of them, they could understand Naruto's language and how to use it, but as for pronouncing it, then they needed work, but that's what Naruto wanted. Soon Tuka and Rinko yipped earnestly to get their father's attention. Naruto looked down as Tuka ran to the door. Run! Tuka said, and Rinko nodded. Naruto sighed and scratched his head. Very well, but you must all stay where I can sense you. Understood? Naruto asked. Rinko and Tuka nodded, and Naruto opened his arms. Come on, Fu. Go play with your sisters, Naruto said, and Fu nodded as he jumped down as Naruto opened the door, allowing them to run out. Tuka, Rinko and Fu ran off into the trees while Kakashi smiled. Well, since you guys know the exercises, then we can get started. However, I think it would be appropriate if Naruto was to guard Tazuna for the first day. I'll work with Sasuke today and then I'll focus on Sakura the next, Kakashi said, and Sakura sighed sadly. Naruto narrowed his eyes, but he agreed with that. As he stood up, he turned back to Sakura. Meet me in the woods in an hour, Naruto said while Sakura instantly brightened up. For what? Sakura asked. Naruto didn't reply to that question and Sakura grimaced. They were going to be doing that again. Sakura swallowed the lump in her throat before groaning to herself. Sure, she asked for it, but damn it if she didn't want to do it. Something going on between you two? Kakashi asked with an eye smile. Sakura widened her eyes before shaking her head. And no way. There is nothing between me and Naruto, Sakura said, and Sasuke just rolled his eyes. Meanwhile, Naruto walked up the stairs to the house to go and retrieve his jacket. As he walked, he passed by Inari's room and heard crying. Why? Why did you have to die? Naruto heard Inari's voice. He leaned against the wall and folded his arms. Kaiser-san, Inari sniffled, and Naruto closed his eyes. He sighed and shook his head lightly. He decided to leave the boy alone for another time and grabbed his jacket. He then made his way down the stairs and saw Tazuna waiting for him at the door. The bridge builder noticed the slight change in mood of the blonde and blinked. You alright, brat? Tazuna asked. Naruto opened the door and then finally responded. It is not your concern, he replied as he guided Tazuna out of the door. Tazuna locked the door, and he noticed Naruto stand perfectly still until he gasped as the earth raised in front of the blonde and formed into a perfect replica of the blonde. His glare could match the blonde's, and Naruto's hands went into his sleeves as he pulled out a scroll and handed it to the earth clone. The clone nodded and walked off into the woods, neither of them sharing so much as a word to each other. Naruto turned to see Tazuna's eyes on him before snorting. "Hurry up, Tazuna-san. Your bridge is not going to be finished if you keep standing here foolishly," Naruto said as he continued to walk off. Tazuna grumbled and took a quick drink. "Sheesh, the brat's got about as much personality as any businessman I've seen. He really needs to lighten up," Tazuna said to himself as he followed into step after Naruto. With Sakura. "Alright Sakura, since I've got Sasuke for the day, why don't you go and do something?" Kakashi asked, and Sakura deflated at that. Had he not recognized the hard work she had been trying to do to improve herself? She admitted that she was horrible in the academy, but in the month that Naruto had trained her and Sasuke, she would at least say that she was now worthy of notice. "Hi," Sakura said as she disappeared into the woods as Kakashi turned to Sasuke, who held a smug grin on his face at finally receiving some training that was worth his time. Meanwhile, Sakura came into an area of the forest as she waited for Naruto to arrive, which wasn't long. "Very good. You have improved in time efficiency," Naruto said, coming out of the trees. Sakura gasped and turned to see Naruto walking up to her. "Well, I didn't think that you would intentionally be late like Kakashi-sensei. Those other times were just because you wanted to irritate him, right?" Sakura asked. Naruto snorted and shook his head. "That is not the case. I plan to use the time that I am given to the most. I will never wait on Hatake ever again. I have learned from that ignorant mistake," Naruto said, and Sakura nodded. "But aren't you supposed to be with Tazuna-san?" Sakura asked, and Naruto folded his arms. "Your perception has increased." An assuring sign. "You have no need to worry about Tazuna-san," Naruto said, and Sakura just took his word at it. She then heard noises and could see Rinko and Fu jumping on top of the trees as Tuka tried to blast them with water. Fu yipped at Tuka and Sakura wasn't sure, but she thought Tuka laughed as they jumped off into the distance. Sakura watched them go before turning back to Naruto. She noticed him bite his thumb, and he slammed the ground. "Kuchios no jutsu," Naruto said, and Sakura covered her eyes as a large puff of smoke came. She knew what was about to happen, but she didn't have to like it. Once the smoke dispelled, Sakura saw a large boulder in front of her. There were tiny fist prints and said boulder as Naruto pointed to it. "Resume your exercise," Naruto told her. Sakura grimaced and sighed sadly. "See, could we remove the weight seals?" she asked, and Naruto just stared at her coldly. She nodded and groaned. "Right, of course we couldn't. This is part of training my Doton affinity, right?" Sakura asked, and the Naruto clone nodded. "That's right. You are to release your chakra at the point of impact. This also requires significant strength to do so. Remember to not strike angrily, but focused. You're using your chakra to turn this stone into mud and back again. Then we will work on adding techniques to your abilities. On second thought, don't punch it. You're not at the current level to where you can punch these and not break your bones. We'll have to work on your body more," Naruto replied, and Sakura nodded thankfully. "Just press your hands to the stone and try to convert its density to be soft." "Have you mastered the first technique that I gave you?" Naruto asked, and Sakura nodded. She quickly showed a single hand sign and then dropped into the ground, getting Naruto to nod. Sakura then poked her head out of the ground. "Iwagakure no jutsu," she called, and Naruto nodded while Sakura popped out the ground. "Very good. Now then we will continue with adding more to you. Understood?" Naruto asked, and Sakura nodded. "Understood, Naruto-kun," Sakura said, and Naruto glanced back to her. She came to the realization and corrected herself. Understood, Naruto-sensei," Sakura said. Naruto snorted and folded his arms. He didn't care for such formalities, but the clone would watch her work in the original's stead. The Naruto clone suddenly narrowed its eyes as it could feel a presence watching him and Sakura. The presence seemed irritated and angry at them. It knew who was watching them, and the presence quickly turned around and back to Tsunami's house. The clone sighed, but continued to watch and instruct Sakura in the right and wrongs of what she was doing. Back with the original. Naruto sat on a railing reading a drama book as he flipped through its pages. He never said a word the entire time that he was there watching the men work. It didn't bother him that they were this hard working, but the sounds of construction were making it sort of difficult for him to read. He didn't like not reading. He could hear people working while he flipped another page. "Tazuna, I can't do this anymore," someone said, causing Naruto to look up. He didn't know this man, but Tazuna seemed to know him quite well. "No, I need you. How else are we going to get this bridge done?" Tazuna asked, and the man sighed. "It's taking too long and I have my wife and kids to worry about. I'm sorry, but I can't do it anymore. I'm leaving. Think about Inari and Tsunami. You're putting them at risk and you're angering Gato even more. It's impossible," he shouted while Tazuna looked down. Smack! Tazuna heard the loud noise as he noticed his friend on the floor and Naruto standing over him. The people stopped their working and stared at the sight in shock. "What is your name?" Naruto asked, glaring down at the fallen man. Tazuna stayed silent while the man picked himself up, but Naruto pushed him back down. "I asked you a question," Naruto said sternly, and the man growled. "My name is Jichi," he said, and Naruto nodded. He walked past Jichi and snorted. "I've pushed you down. What are you going to do about it?" Naruto asked, and Jichi got up, but Naruto roughly pushed him back down. Jichi growled and tried to get up, but Naruto pushed him down again. By this time the men of the bridge gathered around. "What do you think you're doing to Jichi-san? What has he done to you?" They shouted, and Naruto didn't stop to acknowledge them. He just continued to glare at the man in front of him. "Well, what are you going to do about it?" Naruto continued on. Jichi stood up and the same thing happened. Naruto pushed him back down without so much as a single thought. "Damn it!" Jichi said, but grimaced as he saw the ice-cold, deadly eyes that Naruto held on him. He stayed on the ground a little longer, and the blonde closed his eyes. "Foolish man. If this is how you feel, then crawl. Crawl back home to your wife and child. You are not fit to use those 2 legs of yours," Naruto said as Jichi widened his eyes. Naruto then turned back to the men who looked at him angrily. "You who hate to see their friend get hurt by someone like me. Why could you foolish men not turn such anger towards Gato? I have pushed him down only 6 times and you are ready to kill me. Meanwhile Gato, who has pushed you down your entire life, only sees your fear. If you have no will to continue this bridge, then get out. However, then only way you will be getting out is when I break your legs. Once you leave, you will never walk again, I assure you. Along with your fleeting will, your legs will lose their ability to stand." "When I pushed him, what was his first reaction?" Naruto asked. The people gulped as they backed away from the blonde. "He tried to get up, but you wouldn't let him," someone answered, and Naruto nodded. "That's right. I pushed him down, but he tried to get up. He kept trying until just my gaze alone stopped him from doing so. He's no longer fit to stand. The reason you stand is because you wish to not live a life where you must crawl to survive. To be limp or immobile. You long to stand and raise your head high. Why are you scared of Gato?" Naruto asked. It was in his plans to help Wave, but he wouldn't dare help those who felt that they didn't have the strength to help themselves. Foolish things like this would get people killed. All the sacrifices that were made by his company would be for nothing. No one was ever going to rely on him when they could try and rely on themselves. That was an iron rule for Naruto. Before you rely on someone else, you must rely on yourself. This was his philosophy. "You're not Gato. Gato can kill us. Take our children, wives, and friends, and we might never see them again. We have no reason to be afraid of you. You're just a damn kid," a male shouted, and Naruto turned to him. He unconsciously backed away, and Naruto walked through the crowd of men getting up to him. Suddenly, in a blinding speed, Naruto tackled the man, and he felt the cold steel of Naruto's kunai to his throat. People gasped while Naruto narrowed his eyes. "He can kill you? Foolish man, I could kill all of you and make it look like you killed yourselves. He can take your children, wives, and friends? He's done that already. You damn well have a reason to be afraid of me. Also, I'm not your ordinary kid. You say he can do something, But he's already done what you have told me. You have two options. One, either you give up, leave, I break your legs, and you watch him do it all he wants as you can do nothing but cry in pain. Or you can work this bridge, I spare your legs, and gather your hate into your bridge along with your blood, sweat and tears until it is done. Now, who wants to try and leave? You're more than welcome to, Naruto said to them. All the men stayed silent as Jichi looked down in shame. They all did as they dropped their tools and looked at the ground. Naruto withdrew his kunai from the man's neck and regained his composure. He sighed and shook his head. Are you like Jichi-san? An foolish insect waiting to be squashed and try to scrounge for morsels? Or are you proud men of Wave looking to celebrate the completion of your hard work and efforts, and see Gato tremble like a dog beneath your heels because he couldn't stop your ambitions from becoming a reality? Naruto's voice called out to the masses, and he could see the tears in most of their eyes. Tazuna smiled brightly and stood up. He nodded proudly as men, one after the other, stood up showing seriousness. They marched back to the bridge and Naruto firmly nodded. Tazuna knelt down to take Jichi's hand as Jichi turned to it. He reached out, but Naruto batted Tazuna's hand away and looked down at Jichi, his glare unnerving as usual. Rely on yourself before you rely on others, Naruto said, and Jichi widened his eyes. He then shuddered and slowly stood to his feet. He looked down at Naruto and smiled. I am a proud man of Wave, he said, and Naruto closed his eyes. It would be foolish if you were otherwise, Naruto answered, and Jichi marched back to the bridge as the sounds of construction resumed. Tazuna stood next to Naruto and looked at the blonde. You remind me so much of Kaiza, Tazuna said with a smile, and Naruto narrowed his eyes thinking about one of his workers. Is that so? Naruto wondered, but didn't voice it, so he left it alone. He just continued to sit on the railing and read a book, but he kept his senses high. If anyone tried to leave, then he would let them leave, crawling. Later, Naruto was satisfied with the men as no one had tried to ever leave their jobs, and he could see the sudden morale change that he liked to see. If he was going to work on Wave, then he would start with its people. The next thing to happen was a little harder. Naruto and Tazuna walked through the dusty streets as they saw people looking at them. Tazuna sighed sadly and Naruto continued to walk through the streets. He suddenly felt his leg pulled as he looked down. And may I have some food? A girl asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He knelt on one knee and patted the girl's head. You didn't try to pickpocket like some of your friends? Naruto asked, and the girl shook her head. Mommy told me not to, and I don't like to make her upset. Besides, she said that things won't stay this way forever. She said that when the bridge is built, then we will connect to the mainland and Exodus will kick the bad man's butt. She said that the president of Exodus will take him out like a swift stroke of lightning. The girl said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. And tell me, why do you think Exodus Metals will want to help so badly? Naruto asked with a sudden small smile. Tazuna raised an eyebrow and the girl clutched her dress. Because they are not bad people. They aren't like Gato and his men. They were also here before, so they would want to help us again. It's the only hope I have left, she said, and Naruto closed his eyes. The president is here, girl, he said in his thoughts as he reached into his pouch. Suddenly a dozen apples, oranges, grapes, and other fruits in a basket were unsealed and handed to the girl. Eat sparingly, understand? Naruto asked, and the girl's eyes beamed. Thank you, Oniai-chan, she said and ran off. Naruto stood up and walked off. He could feel Tazuna's eyes on him and shook his head. What? Naruto asked. Do you know Exodus Metals by any chance? Tazuna asked, and Naruto snorted. I've had run-ins with them before. I know how they work. Rest assured that they are doing what they can, Naruto said, getting another look from Tazuna, but he didn't push it. Please wait. I promise to pay you back. Don't take my wife. A man shouted as Naruto and Tazuna turned to see it happening. Naruto saw two gruff-looking men chuckling as they saw a middle-aged woman sobbing as she was dragged out of the house. Shut your ass up. It's your fault for not making the payments on time. Don't worry, we'll find a good job for your wife. As a whore, one of them said, laughing while the man begged the other. He began to shed tears and Tazuna turned his eyes. Let's go, Naruto, Tazuna said, but Naruto walked off to them. Tazuna gulped and Naruto stopped walking. How much does he need for his current payment? Naruto asked, and everyone stopped as they turned to the blonde. The woman seemed confused, as did the man, while the two chuckled at the blonde. What is it to you? You think you could pay it off, brat? Why don't you just fuck off? One of them shouted, and Naruto turned to the downed man. How much do you still need? He asked, and the man gulped. 2 to 20,000 more, he said, and Naruto nodded. Like you could come up with another 20,000 yen on the spot, brat, one of them said with a cackle, but Naruto ignored it. Tazuna seemed genuinely interested in what was happening, as did most of the people. He rummaged through his jacket and pulled out a bag of money. This was the money that he had gained in total to his D-rank missions. It was a good 80,000 or so. As Naruto had said before, he didn't need this money, and it wouldn't even put a dent in his account, nor would he have to try and make a non-existent dent in Exodus' account. It was beneficial that he saved it. Here, you may take this as the rest of the payment, Naruto said as one of them took the bag. He gasped at the money and chuckled while turning to his partner. This is more than twice the amount. This kid is fucking dumb. That's what he gets for trying to be a hero. We got what we came for. Let's go, he whispered, and the partner nodded, both not knowing that Naruto heard them. He just chuckled to himself. It's your lucky day, you fool. Take your damn wife back, one of them said as he pushed the female to her husband. Both cried as they hugged each other, and the men walked away. Thank you so much. How can we ever repay you? He asked, and Naruto glared at him. There is no need for such things. Just resume your duties and forget this has happened to you, Naruto said, and the man happily closed his door along with his wife. Naruto walked back as Tazuna stared at him. You're amazing, he admitted, and Naruto shook his head. It is easy to kill them, but it's right that I leave it for later. There are going to be those who do things the easy way, but it should never stop you from doing things the right way. Now let's go back, Naruto said, and Tazuna followed him out. Hideout, nighttime. Zabuza groaned as he opened his eyes. I'm glad to see that you're awake, Haku said with a smile on her face. Zabuza turned to her and wondered how long he had been sleeping. He also wondered if Haku had actually lugged him all the way back to the base. He must have been heavy. Which, he kinda was. Zabuza was about to speak before the door opened and both noticed Gato come through the door. So the demon of Kiri is defeated by 1 man and 3 brats. What am I paying you for anyway? Zabuza, if you don't shape up now, I'll cancel my contract with you and you can get caught by Kiri for all I give a damn, Gato said. Zabuza and Haku said nothing while Gato and his 2 swordsman bodyguards chuckled to each other. Gato looked over Zabuza's body and smirked. Right now you're easy enough to kill. So weak, so frail, so pathetic, Gato said as he reached his hand out. Suddenly he gasped as Haku grabbed it and tightly squeezed it. Don't touch Zabuza-sama with your filthy hands, Haku said to him as she swatted Gato's hand away. The 2 swordsmen, Waraji and Zore, quickly grabbed their swords, but they soon found themselves restricted by the demon brothers. What's going on in here? Gozu asked, and Meizu offered a sneaky grin. Everyone seemed tense around each other as Gato rubbed his hand. He grumbled before Gozu and Meizu released Waraji and Zore. You've got one more chance, Zabuza. Just one more, Gato said, and began to walk away with his bodyguards right behind him. Once they were alone, Haku sat down next to Zabuza. That wasn't necessary, you 3. I would have dealt with it, Zabuza said as under his blanket was a hidden kunai, and Haku smiled. If we let you deal with it, then it would blow our cover. We still have a use for him, Haku said while Gozu and Meizu looked at each other. Well, not to burst your bubble, Haku, but that might be ending faster than we think, Meizu said, getting Haku and Zabuza to glare at them. What do you mean by that? Haku asked, and Meizu sighed. Well, we were around and we think Exodus is trying to push back into its territory. If it succeeds, then we're all screwed. We have to get Zabuza-sama back to top shape immediately, Meizu said, and Haku glared at Zabuza with a nod. Well, we've done enough to warrant their wrath as it is. Them coming is not surprising in the least, Haku stated while Gozu and Meizu looked at each other. They just grinned under their masks and looked forward. Tsunami's house. Everyone was currently eating their food as Tazuna told his daughter and grandson about what Naruto had told the people at the bridge. Inari didn't seem affected by it. Actually, he seemed to be glaring at Naruto even more, while Tsunami was pleasantly surprised. "That's amazing, Naruto-san. I believe you're right," Tsunami said to him. Naruto silently ate his food as a response, only taking a few times to dip down to see if his kids were eating right. He also took a look at Sakura's hands and could see they were slightly bruised, but some healing ointment had been applied to them. He then turned to see Sasuke eating his food also, but with an annoyed look on his face, while Kakashi had a pleasant expression. Training was probably taking a sour note. "If we keep this up, then we'll be done with the bridge in no time," Tazuna said, getting Tsunami to nod. It was at that point Naruto decided to open his mouth. "Haruno-san, how has your progress come?" Naruto asked, and Sakura looked up from her food. "Well, it's like you said, Naruto. I had trained to turn the stone to mud and then back, but I got it after a few more guidances and instructors from you. You even then got me started on a third Doton technique in this scroll," Sakura said, holding up the scroll with a seal on it. Kakashi raised an eyebrow and turned to Naruto. "You were instructing Sakura? Naruto, are you trying to take my job as sensei?" Kakashi asked with an eye smile. "The efficiency of your idea in training each of us one day at a time is very low. It was only this morning that you had learned that Haruno-san had her Doton affinity, while I have known it over the last month. I have been doing your job because you have instructed me to do so," Naruto said, and Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about?" Kakashi asked, and Naruto placed a spoon down. "You had asked me if I minded training Uchiha along Haruno-san back when you had us over tree walking. It proves beneficial to me to train Haruno-san," Naruto said, and Kakashi chuckled. "Naruto, that was a joke. I'm perfectly capable of teaching all of you," Kakashi said, and Naruto snorted. "I have not seen the evidence to justify your words. I shall handle Haruno-san's training. You may focus upon Uchiha as you see fit," Naruto said, and Kakashi's eyebrow twitched, as did Sasuke's. "Well, I would think that Sakura would like for me to train her also. Sakura, I know a lot of Doton techniques to show you," Kakashi said with a smile. "If it okay with you, Kakashi-sensei, I would like to stay under Naruto. He's really shown me a lot, and soon he said he would teach me a C-rank Doton technique. I need to catch up from the times in the academy. Are you okay with that also, Sasuke-kun?" Sakura asked. "Do whatever you want. I don't care. More training for me by Kakashi anyway," Sasuke said, and Sakura nodded. She then smiled towards Naruto, and the blonde just nodded back. All continued their food, and Inari snarled. "All this training? It's useless. You'll never be able to defeat Gato. Why don't you just go home and leave us alone?" Inari shouted as he ran away up the stairs. "Inari!" Tsunami yelled, but Inari ran away before his voice could reach him. Tsunami sighed as everyone seemed to be silent now. "Sorry about him," Tsunami said, and Naruto placed his chopsticks down again. "Tazuna-san, tell me about Kaiza-san," Naruto said, and Tazuna stiffened. Sakura and Sasuke stopped eating while Kakashi narrowed his visible eye. "Why?" Tazuna asked, and Naruto stood to his feet. His kids stood also, and Naruto looked at a lone picture on the wall. Memories came back to him about his time with Kaiza, and a feeling of comfort came to the blonde. "He stated that I was like him, and I had overheard that boy talking about him. What can you tell me about him?" Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes at the picture of Kaiza in front of him. "He was my husband and Inari's adoptive father. His real father died just a few months after he was born," Tsunami began, and Tazuna continued. "He was just a fisherman. Some kids had been picking on Inari, and Kaiza saved him. Inari had instantly grown attached to him. Kaiza then met Tsunami, and they hit it off. However, Kaiza wasn't just any ordinary fisherman. He was also an earnest Exodus metals worker. Because of his use of the sea, he was able to help the company by finding the best metals that could be hidden along with the best fish that workers could eat. I had heard by him that he had been recruited by the president himself, but no matter how much we begged him, he never told us who that president was. He said it was a sworn secret, but he said that Exodus would change Wave into a wonderful nation. We all believed it too. He even saved the village from being destroyed in a flash flood. He was a hero. Add that to being an Exodus worker, then we thought about making him our daimyo. However, all that changed once Gato came. He quickly asserted his power and, with his men, entered the Exodus shops and stores and lit them on fire while killing any and all men and women who worked for their corporation. Kaiza was the one who sent word to them and resisted Gato's demands of telling him who the president was. It worked, but he was caught when he tried to defeat Gato by himself. He was then made an example, in front of the townspeople, of anyone who stood in Gato's way. He was crucified and then killed in front of Inari and everyone. Since then, no one has outright attacked Gato since, and heroes have been an impossible thing to wish for, Tazuna finished. Everyone was silent. The water from the faucet dripped as Rinko, Tuka and Fu turned to each other and whimpered sadly. Sakura didn't feel like eating while Sasuke and Kakashi had stern looks on their faces. Does he have a grave or something? Naruto asked and Tazuna nodded. Just near the hill, he said, and Naruto nodded. He turned around and his face was as plain as always. I'll be back, Naruto said while Rinko, Tuka and Fu began to go with him. No, you stay this time. Don't worry. It's just a little training, Naruto said and closed the door. No one said a word as they weren't sure if it would help or not. With Naruto. The blonde walked through the woods in the night and looked left then right. He walked up the steep slope of the hill, and he noticed just a small grave of rocks there overlooking the village of Wave, and they glistened in the moonlight. Naruto knelt in front of them and touched the top of them. I'm here, Kaiza. Forgive my lateness. You have performed splendidly. As the president, I am responsible for all actions that take place within my company and out. You foolish man, who told you that you could die? Naruto asked with a dry laugh. He then stood up and turned around. You have done your part, now let me do mine. Kaiza allowed to reclaim what has been mine since the beginning. I'll take back my territory immediately, Naruto said as he walked off. Throughout the night, Naruto had been busy doing chakra control exercises as well as learning the newest techniques that he could from the scrolls given to him by Danzo. He read over some tax files and maps indicating to Gato's revenue by sea, and the blonde had decided to keep this in the case that he would need it. Which he would. Just you wait, foolish man. I will take your head soon enough, after I'm done putting you through what I have for you, Naruto thought to himself as the sounds of his training could be heard in the night. Next morning, Tsunami's house. Everyone was eating their breakfast as Kakashi looked around the table. Naruto didn't come back? He asked as Sasuke snorted. What an idiot, the Uchiha brunette said while Sakura sighed. I'm sure he had good reason. Maybe he was training, Sakura said while Sasuke snorted. A lot of good that will do us. Such a loser. Well, I'm not looking for him, Sasuke said, and Sakura stood to her feet. Then I will, Sakura said, getting us as she had finished her own breakfast. Sasuke and Kakashi looked at her plate and noticed that she was finished. Fast, Kakashi thought to himself. Outside. A gentle hum could be heard through the forest as a young woman wearing a kimono could be seen with a basket. She had come to collect some herbs for her companion, and this was the best place to get them. She looked down, and she gasped as she saw someone sleeping near a tree. He had 3 foxes surrounding him as well. They had all been sleeping peacefully, and the female recognized him immediately. His blonde hair was too noticeable. She gulped and made her way to the blonde. She looked at the sun radiating on his face before she let out her hand towards his throat. She moved it closer and closer before she shook her head and reached for his shoulder, but to her surprise her arm was grabbed. What do you think you're doing? Naruto asked with his eyes closed. The girl gulped. His grip was insanely strong. He wasn't going to let her go, and if she struggled then he could very well snap her wrist as easily as he wanted to. So the girl didn't struggle to it. Forgive me. You were sleeping out here and I just wanted to warn you of a cold, she said, and Naruto opened his eyes to see her looking at him. So this is Haku, Naruto thought while he looked down to see Rinko, Tuka and Fu sleeping next to him. Looks like he had stayed out too long. The blonde stood up and grabbed his kits, getting them to open their eyes. They stared at Haku and blinked before turning to Naruto. Girl, Tuka said, and Naruto looked down. Yes, this is a girl, Tuka. Good job, Naruto said. He had created a clone to teach Rinko, Tuka, and Fu more words. Girl, nice, Fu said, and Naruto shook his head. Yep, Fu had also learned to speak. Now he had to address Haku's statement. Is that so? That is plausible. So what are you doing out here? You seem calm for being a citizen of Wave. A civilian woman should not be out without someone with her if Gato and his men are around, Naruto expressed. Haku chuckled and shook her head. It is fine. It's early and they aren't around to do me any sort of harm. Also, I am collecting herbs for my friend. He is very sick, Haku said, and Naruto snorted. I see. Well, the herbs here are adequate for such things as sickness. I'll help you. Don't need you making any foolish errors in your treatment, Naruto said, and Haku was wary of this, but didn't see any true problems with it. He probably hadn't discovered her just yet. So Naruto and Haku picked up herbs through the field as they enjoyed the fresh, clean air as well as the sight of Rinko, Tuka, and Fu trying to catch butterflies around the area. Naruto picked up an herb and placed it in the basket while Haku chose this time to examine him. He really wasn't so bad looking, and that cold glare that he casted at the ground was just amazingly hot, for some reason. Haku shook her head before noticing the blonde's headband. Your headband. Are you a ninja? Haku asked, and Naruto stiffened, but it only lasted for a moment. That is correct. I have been training out here, Naruto answered. Why? Haku asked. Like all shinobi, I have the desire to get stronger, Naruto said, getting Haku to giggle. He raised an eyebrow to her, but she excused herself. I see, but you look plenty strong already. Isn't that enough? Haku asked, and Naruto snorted. There are many in the world who are stronger than me. Many who are more talented than I am. Many who can kill me, so no, I am not strong enough. I have an ambition, and for that ambition I will need not only strength, but the strength of my peers, Naruto said. So is that why you train? To protect your peers, or is it to be acknowledged? Haku asked. To be acknowledged by those I have no desire to be acknowledged by is a waste of time. Those I lead are those who trust me with their lives, and on account I lead them to the best path, so they are my responsibility. To make sure that they know that they have chosen right, then I will need to be stronger, Naruto said, and Haku nodded. That is a good idea. I believe that it is only when you protect your precious people then that is when you are genuinely strong. Who are your precious people? Haku asked, and instantly, Naruto wasn't sure why, but the image of Anko came into his head. After her was Rinko, Tuka, Fu, Kisa, and others who had worked to gain his trust, or what they had of it. I will keep that to myself, Naruto said, and Haku nodded. If he didn't want to tell her, then that was all right. She looked down and noticed that she had enough herbs for the day. She nodded and stood up. Do not worry. I'm sure that you will get genuinely strong, Haku said, and began to walk away. Naruto just nodded while his kids looked at him confused. He nodded again and stood up. I know I will. It would be foolish not to. Just as it would be foolish to not capture you, Naruto said as he flicked his fingers. Instantly Haku gasped as wires wrapped around her body, causing her basket to fall to the ground. How did you? Haku said as she turned around to see Naruto's intense glare over her. Foolish woman. I knew your little pattern all too well. However, this is not your worst concern, Naruto said, and suddenly Haku felt weary. Her eyes were heavy and she struggled to stay on her feet. What did you do to me? She asked, and Naruto walked up to her. He stood face to face with Haku and closed his eyes. Sleep, Naruto said, and Haku fell to the ground unconscious. Rinko, Tuka, and Fu blinked at the unconscious person in front of them as Rinko looked up. How you know, father? Rinko struggled and Naruto smiled. No woman in her right mind would come out here at all by herself, early or not, if she couldn't take care of herself. Also, the smell of blood in on her body, Naruto said, getting Fu to nod as well. Rinko and Tuka just nodded together while Naruto picked up Haku and walked off. As he did, Sakura came into the fields and sighed. Naruto, where are you? Sakura wondered. Somewhere. Haku groaned as she opened her eyes. The last thing she remembered was. Haku gasped and struggled, but found herself tied up by very, very strong wires. They covered her arms and her legs. It was dark, this place she was in, and she couldn't see anything except a lone light. She didn't hear any water dripping, so she probably wasn't in a random cave or anything. Damn it, I have to get out of here, Haku said to herself. I wouldn't do that. Those wires are the strongest you're going to find. Haku looked up as she noticed Naruto in front of her. Haku growled and struggled, but she could feel the wires dig into her soft skin. What are you going to do? Haku asked, and Naruto closed his eyes. Nothing if you make this simple for me, Naruto said, and Haku snorted. I won't betray Zabuza-sama, she said, and the blonde chuckled dryly. Foolish woman. I have no desire to know about your master, at the moment. For right now we're just going to have a long, private talk, Naruto said, and Haku couldn't resist the urge to gulp. She was in trouble. That's it for part 5. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.